Alrighty. Okay, so everyone, welcome to the iAwards webinar. Congratulations for making it this far in the iAwards journey. I just want to introduce myself. I'm Elizabeth. I'm the competition manager for the iAwards, and I know that I've been speaking to a lot of you in the lead up to the state dinners, and I'll be continuing on with you until nationals as well. I'd also like to introduce Fulvio Insera, who's also on the line today and will be presenting. Fulvio is our iAwards Chief Judge and also part of our PICTA program as well. He's the Vice Chairman there. And I think acting Chief Judge there as well. But Fulvio, you will correct me if I'm wrong. So I hope you can all hear me. Okay. All right, so just the agenda for today. So we're going to be going over next phase of the iAwards. We'll be looking at the pitch format and what's required. Okay, I've been told that you can only see a full version of the screen. Can anyone see, so you can only see a cropped version. Can you see a full version of the screen? Okay, great, awesome. Okay, so we're going to go through the judging logistics. We're going to look at the judging criteria, and I'm going to just brief on the judging schedule. Then we're going to move on to the national program, a PICTA, and any questions at the end. So what I do is I thought I'd play a little quick video that will introduce what the National iAwards looks like, and it can give you a snapshot of the atmosphere of the day, what judging looks like. It's a face-to-face presentation. Then we'll move on to sort of Pitch Fest and the national program at the gala dinner. So this is a really good snapshot of the look and feel of the 3 days. Awesome. So I hope that kind of gave you a little snapshot of the gala dinner and of judging as well. We had over 700 people at the gala dinner, so it's going to be such a great event this year. And now that we're celebrating our 25 years, our 25th anniversary, it's going to be a great event. So we're all excited for you to be involved. And I just thought I'd just go over just a few points in terms of, I guess, now what it means for you guys. So anyone who won a merit award or an actual winning trophy, that means that you're qualifying to the national round in August. So sometimes we refer to it as round 2 judging, and we also might refer to you guys as the iAwards finalists. Just also to make note that the judging criteria in round 1 is a bit different from round 2, and we'll go through some more details of that shortly with Fulvio. You will have the opportunity to compete in the category that you won an award in. So if you won more than one category, that means you'll actually be doing more than one pitch. So you could have won in business services and maybe startup of the year. So that means you'll need to tailor 2 different pitches depending on the categories that you actually took an award at for the state level. We all know that it's in Melbourne, it's taking place in Melbourne, so all finalists will have to be responsible for their own travel and accommodation, and the dates are the 28th to the 30th of August. So just what a snapshot of what's to come. So we've got a live webinar taking place in a couple of weeks, and that's on tips of pitching. So we've got 2 people there that will be presenting. We've got a past iAwards judge, his name is Brett Finlay, and also we've got David Sauter, who works with us at Fishburners in Sydney, and he does a lot of pitching and presentation skills with startups in particular. So it's really good opportunity to sort of refine your pitching skills and just get some tips from other judges as well in the iAwards. We've got, on the 14th of August, we've got an information memorandum due. This is basically a 1-page document, which we'll go to in details in a moment. And it's basically just, I guess you're answering some of the questions in round 2. And this is a 1-page that you'll submit, and the judges will be referring to this document during your live pitch. So it's a reference for them along with your pitch. Then we have judging on the 28th and the 29th of August, which is held in Melbourne at KPMG. On the 30th of August, we have a few things happening. So during the day, we have a program called Pitch Fest. We'll go into details as well of that, and also the Innovation Showcase, very similar to the showcase that you did at the state level. And then on the 30th of August, that evening, we have the National Gala Dinner, where we announce the winners and the merit recipients. Following on from that, in October, we have a PICTA. So the Australian Information Industry Association, we run the iAwards. We're part of a network called APICTA, which is the Asia Pacific ICT Alliance. And 16 countries will come together in October, and we basically have the best of our best innovators from all the countries come along, and then we do an international pitch. And this year it's held in Guangzhou in China. So I will pass you over to Fulv in a moment, but the information memorandum, from my perspective, I'll be liaising with you how to best upload that, but it's the same system that you use to submit your application. We use AwardsForce, and I'll be giving you login details and instructions on how to upload the information memorandum onto AwardsForce. And also in the Finalist portal, you'll also get a template of what this information memorandum you can use. But basically, it's what you see on the screen. It's a 1-pager. I'm just answering some key points, which Fulvio might go more into details about that now. Fulvio, we can't hear you. Are you there?
Okay, yeah, I've just unmuted myself.
Oh, great.
That's fine. I've done that now. I'll just figure out how to do that. So, yeah, thanks, Liz. So, essentially, there are a couple of different parts to this. Now, we want to basically narrow this down. So you're essentially doing a pitch. Now, the slide there says potential partner or investor, but could be a customer, prospect that you are pitching your idea to. So, although you've gone to the trouble of completing your detailed online submission, given that was reviewed and assessed online, we're in a different playing arena now, for want of a better term, and we are you now focus more around the presentation. So you can't assume that the judges have seen your initial online application, because it could be different judges that weren't judging your submission in phase 1. It's highly likely they're going to be different judges. So although they may get access to your original online request, they're going to basically base their scoring on the 1-pager, which also does get assessed, as well as your presentation. So we'll go into a bit more detail about how we do that, but just basically, to simplify it all, it's basically pitching 101. You focus more about why you did something, why you produced it, what challenges were you trying to address, then explain what, and then how. So if you're looking at how you break up your presentation, the judges, in terms of the value proposition, would like to see why you did it and what you've actually developed. So really focus on those 2 aspects, and then less on the how, but no doubt you'll get a lot of questions about what you did, particularly if it's a technology category that you've also pitching for, or maybe only pitching for, then you'll find that the questions could get quite technical. So we'll go on to the next slide, Liz, and we'll probably go into a bit more detail about the judging.
Also, with the information memorandum, you'll need to submit 2 different ones if you're pitching in 2 different categories as well. So it's to accompany your pitch.
Yeah, so one thing, this is really important, not quite sure why people don't listen to this aspect of it. Essentially, if you've been fortunate enough to be in more than one category, then it's not, you just don't copy and paste and have 2 versions of the same thing. It needs to be tailored based around the technology solution. So in the technology one, you might focus more about the how you did and what you built, and less about the why, because they're focusing in on assessing the technical capability and innovation around that solution. Okay, next slide.
Pitch format.
Hello. Yeah, pitch format. Yep.
Yep. Is that on the screen?
Oh, there it is. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Cool. Okay. Now, I've got my own version as well. Sorry about that. So essentially, there's 30 minutes set aside for including logistics, and essentially you've got a 2-minute setup, and your pitch, which is obviously the most important thing, is 10 minutes. We allow Q&A up to 10 minutes. Don't be too concerned if your Q&A only goes for 3 or 4 minutes. You will get lots of questions, and it all depends on how well you did your presentation. So it is a very important part of the entire pitch, and that is around how well you can answer the questions. So although we don't want to cast the thousands in the room, obviously, if you're presenting a very deep technical presentation, then obviously you do want your technical person there with you, if you're not the person that's actually presenting it. And even if you're the person that's perhaps the head of sales, and you might get a bit more information, questions around background and positioning and more about the why, then you may want to have a co-founder there if it's a startup, or someone that could understand, that has a good understanding of the history and evolution of the product. And essentially, we don't offer direct feedback. We only give feedback to student and startup categories. The student ones are essentially verbal feedback we give them. It's a lot of encouragement and some positive and constructive advice to ensure that they take that forward into their professional careers. And the startup ones essentially have the opportunity where we deliberate as judges and provide 1 to 2 minute feedback. It's not a Q&A. It's essentially what the judges as a whole believe your presentation is about and how you presented. Please don't take any feedback you get from there as either affecting or not affecting whether you're a winner or whether you win or you don't. Because not everybody's going to do a perfect pitch or a perfect presentation. We understand that. That's why we rate the ability to answer the questions and how succinctly and to the point you are with your pitches. Again, only 4 people maximum are able to be in the room. There's a logistical reason for that also. And plus, when you are presenting and you are pitching to a client or to an investor, essentially you are either flying solo, or you've only got 1 or 2 people or a small team with you. So again, there's no need to bring a cast of thousands. Obviously, for junior students, then guardians are allowed to be there for support. There can be anywhere between 4 to 6 judges present in the room, and each come from various backgrounds. If you want to just move on to the next slide. Okay. So you've got to be self-sufficient here, okay? So like you would any other appointment, you may not arrive 30 minutes for a sales meeting, but essentially here, we need you to be there 30 minutes before your allocated time. And part of ensuring that you are organised. You know, if you take more than 3 minutes to set up, then essentially that eats into your presentation time. And again, just reiterating the point that if you're presenting more than one category, then even your presentation should be different, because essentially it's not about duplication, it's about how you can position your solution based on the category that you're presenting against, and the criteria are very important. Obviously, BYO everything, within the self-sufficiency of laptops. There should be internet connectivity there, but as a backup in case there's anything wrong there, like with the utility to your phone, but assuming there will be wireless internet there. And any required video output adapters, HDMI, VGA, whatever. And we'll provide information about the technical setup of each of the meeting rooms, presentation rooms, what projectors available, what sound and so forth. And we'll make that information available to you.
Yep, so just to follow on, so I do want to reiterate, do arrive there early. We will have 1 or 2 rooms that you can test your equipment, just to make sure that everything's in working order and it's working with the screens and stuff, your presentation. But it's based on a first in, best dressed kind of basis. So make sure you do get in early and you have enough time if you want to just to test everything. Wi-Fi isn't available there. We need to create passwords and stuff. So it's only for judges at this stage, because the judges will be using that to judge on that judging platform. So make sure you do bring any sort of internet connections. Last year we had HDMI cables in the rooms, but just make sure you do have spare equipment just in case things go wrong. You don't want to be relying solely on the venue. So just make sure that if you've got a Mac, you've got special converters, things like that. So just try to forward plan what you might need, but we'll try to provide everything to the best that we can. And the screen and projector details and all that will be on the Finalist portal. But if you do have any questions, that's where I'm here to help. So you can just, between now and then, just ask me a question and I could always contact the venue if there's any specifics that you have. I think we'll go on to the next slide. Okay, Phil?
Okay, I've basically covered some of this off already, but essentially how you answer your questions and addressing the criteria and the one pager are all accessible. And I already mentioned that don't assume the judges know the background of your submission. That's really important. Assume that you're going in cold, and that essentially will not. And that's done that way on purpose, because we can't guarantee the same judges that judge your initial phase 1 submission will be there for your on-site presentation. So, and even if they are, it's really not. It shouldn't be taken into consideration. So essentially, you've used phase 1 to qualify. You've all qualified. So it's basically we all start from square one, moving forward. So we don't take any of your scoring from the previous. For phase 1, this is all, everybody starts at 0, and we see how good you can pitch. That's really important around that. If we go on to the next slide, I want to spend a bit of time on this one. So essentially, we said originally in the earlier slides, we really want to know why you've actually done something, and because the why is where you implement, where you outline your value proposition or a key differentiator. And if you say something is unique, the judges, given the breadth of expertise we've got on the judging panel, will know pretty well whether or not something that you claim to be unique is really unique. So if you say something unique, demonstrate how it is unique, because we really take that word with a grain of salt. And it may very well be unique. You have to prove it. And if there are competitive things on the market that do similar to what you do, what makes yours better? So I put that in the general category or bucket of uniqueness and value prop. So And then essentially is, because what we're doing is why is validating the need. So it's really, really important. And then once you've got that, they get a bit of context around how you then can explain what it is that you've built, right? And then how well that it has solved that problem. So it's essentially not sales 101, but essentially, yeah, you need to open the door with why this is something compelling for them to want to know more in terms of what it is and how well that's presented. And also, yeah, so don't avoid, because of the one pages and some of the criteria may have, and as an example there, revenue project, revenue, and you've got a not-for-profit innovation or a public sector one, then essentially don't respond to that if it's not applicable. Instead, look at how you would then show value in terms of cost avoidance, time saved, whether it increases productivity, quality of life, accessibility. Those sorts of things all get taken into consideration depending on the category that you're presenting to. So really important that you do that. Practice and practice again. If you're lucky enough to win, then we'll give you some more advice about how to do these things that are picked, which are slightly different. But essentially, if you follow these 3 key points there, you essentially can't go wrong. And you're going to need to make it harder for the judges to want to judge, right? So they need to work for and ensure that that if we've got a high quality of submissions and they've all answered the why, how, and why, the why, what, and how effectively enough and to the point, then you need to make it difficult for judges to make a call on it. So that's such a good problem to have. So really spend a lot of time in doing that and getting that right. Next slide. Okay, here's an example of some of the weightings in the public sector and government criteria. So you can see how we've weighted those mainly around the why you did it. And things like research, competitive analysis, what things I've already mentioned already, and then summarising what you've built, which is really, really important. And case studies are really good. Don't waste a lot of time. Testimonials are good. If you must show them just 1 or 2, we've had some examples in the past where they'll waste a minute, even a minute or minute and a half of their presentation showing video of how good they are. We've already done the reference checking, so bear that in mind. So we know that. So just a bit less about testimonials, unless the judge specifically asks some examples of if it's not clear enough in terms of where you've deployed it, because essentially they won't have access to your phase 1 submission, but they know that you've qualified already through reference checking, so we know that. So just not a lot on that, just to show some context. Really show data or show things of people actually using it rather than just saying how good it is. Also really important, because things might have progressed since you did your phase 1. If you're about to go to market, you may have gone to market. So it's a really good opportunity to outline as part of your roadmap for the next 12 to 24 months. Look at your progress since round 1. And that's really important as well. So you pitched, you won phase 1, things might have changed or evolved. That's really important as well, because it shows that things are moving. And you've either got more sales, or you've built a new functionality, and you've set up more test case scenarios, whatever it is, really important. The next slide.
Yeah, Paul, we just had a question. Is it okay to hand out materials to the judges during the presentation?
Yeah, you can do that. Like, if depending on what it is, like if it's just brochureware, they might take it away, and it doesn't hurt to do that. But it doesn't add to your ability to get a better score. Generally not, because obviously, if your marketing material is that good, to put it in the one pager. But if it's something certainly we can touch and feel, whether it's testing it, using a device or or doing something like that, then that obviously makes it real. So that sort of stuff it can help. But don't feel under pressure to do that, because obviously not a lot of you will have the opportunity to do that, depending on what you're presenting. But yeah, generally you can give stuff out. Some judges may refer to it later on, but it doesn't really increase the chances of winning. Okay, the makeup of the judges, you've actually got quite a widespread, and you won't know who's there. So assume that you're going to have someone that's from a tertiary institute, primarily a teacher or an academic or a lecturer, or someone that's actually been involved in either a proof of concept or an R&D project at a tertiary level, or it could be a secondary school teacher. But that's the covers there. We've been lucky enough to have some C-level judges from some organisations. That could be either CEOs, CIOs, CFOs, CMOs, CDOs, and the like. And we'll also have, when we say commercialisation expert, it's also that in that aspect of it, we've also got they're either have invested in products before or solutions, or they've actually productised or commercialised solutions for selling. So particularly if in that commercialisation stage, you'll more often than not get a question around market suitability and how the product is either how it's supported, what infrastructure is in place to do that, what supporting documentation is there to make it like a true product, and also if you're seeking funding, if you've got your main building blocks to be able to be ready to seek investors. So they're not going to offer you investment opportunities in obviously judging, but they may call you or may reach out to you after the event, which is either at the gala dinner or a bit after. Essentially, and also, then we've also got the technical experts, which will be definitely one in each one. I'll be up front in the technical categories. There'll be more technical experts, of course, but you don't underestimate that you might get a commercial guy in there as well. But essentially, again, you particular your audience, and that gives you a bit of a widespread. But be mindful though that the people that, if you're presenting at a market category or one of the head categories, where it's business, consumer, someone on that panel will have good industry expertise in that sector. So you can assume that you're preaching to people that know about consumer products or business products, or public government, public sector and government, or community. So there'll be those people, either technical experts or commercialisation experts, or there could be a fifth one that could be an industry expert. Just assume that they will know a little bit about your target market if you're in that category. And if it's a cross category, they'll know about startups, they'll know about R&D projects, they'll know about some of the challenges around those things. So they'll know the background. So it's not like you're pitching to someone off the street. So they'll have some context in terms of what they know, particularly about the category that you're presenting to.
Alrighty. I'll speak on this. Yeah. Okay. So the judging schedule, judging timetable, I'm putting that together as we speak, and I'm hoping to send something off to you by early July, because I know that you want to start booking your flights and your accommodation, so you want to know what day you're needed for judging. Students, I'll try to schedule students all on the 29th of August, because I'm mindful that you need to take time off school, and most of you are in big in groups as well. So students are generally on the 29th, and I'll let you know if there's when the timetable is available. It will be available on the Finalist portal. The link is there. But I'll also be sending it in many emails from now until then, and that's where I'll also be uploading this video as well on the Finalist portal. In terms of the judging schedule, if there are any concerns, if you feel like you can't make your time, do let me know. I'll see if I can shuffle, do some shuffling. There is also an option to do remote judging if you feel like you really can't get to Melbourne, because we want everyone to be there in some way. So that's also an option as well. But just be mindful, there is 130 national finalists, so there's a lot of coordinating. Hopefully by sort of early July, I'll be able to give you an update on that. Okay, so the national program. So on the 30th of August, during the day, we've got a pitch fest, and in that we'll also be doing the innovation showcase. So the pitch fest is, because it's only a one-day event and there's so many finalists, we've had to sort of, I guess, shortlist who can be eligible for that. So at this stage, we're only going to open up Pitch Fest to those who've won in the core categories. So that's the consumer, community services, public sector, industrial and primary industries, business services market, and then also the students. And just understand that because we've got the gala dinner in the evening, we really only have between 9 a.m. to about 3 p.m. That's when the pitches are taking place. And it's a chance for members of the public to come and to, I guess, see your pictures again, but in a more public forum. And basically, it's the pitch that you'll be doing to the judges, you'll probably be replicating that in the Pitch Fest. So an email will be going out either this week or next week, early next week, and it will just basically ask for expressions of interest for those in those categories if you'd like to be considered for Pitch Fest. Pitch Fest is open to, so basically, I've just got a question here. Is Pitch Fest not open to merit award winners? Basically, we're not referring to you guys now as winners or merit recipients. That was in the state level. Everyone's now on the same playing field. For Pitch Fest, we have to, because due to timings and just the scheduling of the day, we've only shortlisted those who have won an award in the core categories and students as well. So if you've won in the technology categories or the stage categories, unfortunately we can't have it open for that time. At this stage, it's just the core categories.
So okay. Liz, I think just, can you hear me, Liz?
Yes, I can. Yep.
I just want to clarify. So basically, it's open to everybody in each of those market categories. So
yes,
because they're all being winners and merits. So there's like, yeah. So essentially, I think that's probably where the confusion might be. So yeah, but it's every nomination or every entry in each of the market categories, the head categories, can pitch.
Yep. Entry, that's a good word. So it's every entry in the market. Yep, that's great. So I've also got another question. I might as well answer it. It's in the chat. Do we know who we're competing with in our categories? So what you can do is you can go on our website and you can, by every state, you can check who's won in your categories, but also you'll know who you're competing against when I submit the judging timetable for everyone. You'll see who else is in your category that way as well. So moving along on that side to the evening program. So we've again got our pre-dinner drinks. We did also have an innovation showcase at the gala dinner as well during the pre-dinner drinks. So that might happen again this year, but I'm not sure how that will look, but more information will be communicated as we progress with that. And then we have the gala dinner and the awards ceremony. So just like we did for the state level, entrants will have discounted tickets to that. So we're in the process of developing your discounted codes, and I'll be sending that in an email next week. So make sure you also book your tickets for the gala dinner as well. And as I said, last year it was such a great buzz in the room. There was about 700 people, and I can only imagine that there's going to be more because we've got a milestone. We're celebrating 25 years, so there'll be lots of networking. We'll also be doing live Facebook streaming as well on the night. So if you've got team members back at home who can't make it to Melbourne, we'll be able to sort of have them tune in via Facebook as well. So more details to come about that, but that's just some exciting things happening on the 30th of August. So as we know, we've got a few rounds of competition. If you're lucky enough to make it to the as national winners or merit recipients, you'll be eligible to enter a PICTA. So I might get Fulv just to talk on that, but you've got the key dates there. It's the 9th to the 13th of August. Basically, it's just 5 weeks after Nationals. It's taking place in China. So I just really want to stress that you'll need to have those discussions before Nationals with your team to see if you guys are winners, if you're willing to make the journey to China, because as you can imagine, there's visas. We need to submit your entry to the PICTA organisers so they can put you in the judging schedule as well. So there's lots to organise. So I might get Fulv just to speak on that as well and what's expected.
Yeah. So essentially, the key thing here is there's lots of great stories that come out of winners and merits that actually do come to a PICTA. Now, we've had it in the past a lot of the developing countries like Bangladesh and Vietnam. Oh, sorry, Vietnam's next year. Bangladesh and Indonesia and a lot of countries like that, Brunei, Myanmar, where but this year being in China, it's probably going to be the biggest one because essentially it's being at the same time as a small medium business showcase, which attracts about 2 million visitors, and each economy, of which there are 16, will be given the opportunity to have a stand there, and you may be lucky enough to get an opportunity to present some of your innovations in that at that event. And essentially, given the market that is, we all know that the opportunities that do present themselves in China. The time is not ideal in terms of being so early in October, as Liz has already said. We've made some changes so that doesn't happen again. But normally they're in November, December. So it means that pretty much if you're lucky enough to win or to be a merit, then you need to tell us virtually days after that you're going to participate at a PICTA. And it's totally opt-in. You're not obliged to do it, but it is a great opportunity to present your innovation on international stage, I guess. And I'm quite passionate about it. I spent a lot of time on the PICTA committee, so and to see what goes on in that region is quite exciting. We won't go a lot into detail about how to present there. Let's just take it one step at a time. It's slight little differences, but not a lot. But if you essentially they're following the Australian model for the first time this year, so it puts you in pretty good stead. Yeah, that's probably all I need to say there, Liz. I think that we'll outline that more. I think the urgency is more about getting people to think about going. So students are invited to a PICTA, and you'll find that the students are one of the most popular categories, unlike Australia, in the Asia Pacific region. It's very, very competitive, but it's a great networking opportunity for students. So there's anything else that you wanted to add there? I was just trying to look at some of the questions. But
I've been trying to look at the chat too. So yeah, I think we've answered all of them. So it is optional at PICTA, and it is at your own cost. But just be mindful with students. I know last year there was a government STEM grant, and I think it might open again in the new financial year. So I can communicate that to the students. So I know last year one of our students went on that trip with that grant, and the government gives up to $20,000 per project. So that's something for the students to consider as well. And we'll move on to the next slide. When I get it working, here we go. All right, so I think we're at the end. Here are my details. I know you've got them all, but feel free to ask me any questions. And I think now we might move on to the question round. So I've just got one in the group chat. So yeah, feel free to pop it into the group chat and ask any questions. Okay, so we've got one question as well about finalist discount codes for the gala dinner. We'll be receiving, yes, so I've just produced the codes, so now I need to send that through to the emails. So you'll probably get that early next week. I'm hoping to send it all off by next week. So you can hold off, don't get your tickets yet, make sure you get your discount code. Okay, can we see a list of the core market categories somewhere? Okay, so it's on our website under, so go to www.iAwards.com.au sorry, let me change that, www.aiia.com.au/iAwards. You'll see a category section there, and all the categories are listed. I'll pop the email into the web address into the chat as well for you, Fiona, but all the categories are online. Okay, so I think we've got Matt, who's looked at the STEM competition grant from the government. I think it might reopen in the new financial year, so keep an eye out on the government website. I think the funding might be replenished in the new financial year. Okay, what is the address of the portal? I will email it to everyone when I upload the YouTube link. So it was also in the slides that we just had, if you're able to jot it down, but if not, I'll email it to you tomorrow, so you've got it fresh in your inbox, and it will also be alongside this webinar as well. Okay, from Lee. Okay, that's great. Yes, you'll get your discount codes, Lee. Okay.
There's another question there. Yeah, if you've got technology, bring it in. Yep, anything you can actually demonstrate, that's good.
Yep. Alrighty, any other questions? Well, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to talk. You don't want to type. We'll just hold on a bit, see if anyone else has got anything else they want to ask. As I said, I'm always on email, or you can give me a call, and there'll be lots of communication sort of going on from now until Nationals, so make sure you check your emails. I do send a lot via MailChimp, and I know MailChimp can be a bit funny with putting things in junk mail and all that, so just make sure you check that. And if you have any team members that you want to add to our mailing list, just send me an email as well, and I can pop them in, because we want to make sure that everyone's across everything and not missing any details, because there'll be lots of important things coming up.
Hi, Liz.
Yep.
Hi, it's Tim McKay. I just had a question. Outside of when we're being judged on the couple of days before the actual awards dinner, is there workshops and things being arranged that we need to be available for, or are we right to kind of schedule other meetings and stuff outside of the judging time?
Yep, great question, Tim. So most people, from my experience last year, they would have organised their own meetings and take the opportunity while they're in Melbourne to do business. I guess the only thing that we have going on is Pitch Fest. So it's a great chance. It's open to everyone. It's free to attend. So you'll either be presenting if you're in those core market categories and if you're selected, or if not, still feel free to pop in and you can see how other people are doing their pitches and network as well in that. So that's the main thing that we've got happening. It's the Pitch Fest during the day. And in the evening, we've got the gala dinner. So you can sort of work around your schedule around the Pitch Fest if you like, on the 30th of August.
I think Karen's asked a question there, Liz. can we connect laptops to screen for PowerPoint? Yeah, well, that's a yes. I guess there'll be a
Yeah.
projector there to plug the laptop
Yeah.
in.
Every room will have a screen. And as I said earlier in the webinar, if you missed it, there will be a room that you can test your equipment, but it's not getting, there's no sort of schedule around that. So basically it's kind of first in, best dressed. Just be mindful that if you're in the room and you're testing, that other people would want to test as well. So try to make it quick. And also if you intend to do that, make sure you do give yourself time to test that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any
And
accommodation?
you're testing equipment, not your presentation.
Yeah. So accommodation recommendations, I don't have any recommendations, but I'll see if we have any that I can suggest for you. So if there's any that I know with any codes, I'll see if I can get something organised. The screen is an actual TV, I believe. So Lindsay has asked, is the screen a large format monitor or a video projector? So
It's a flat screen, yeah.
Yeah, it's a flat screen.
Essentially, we're plugging a flat screen, so if you want to structure your presentations using 9x16, you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Alrighty, I think you can speak if you like, if you want to ask a question, if you're in mid-typing, but I feel like we're probably done.
Yep.
You can always ask questions after this as well, and if I don't know, I'll find out. But thank you very much, Fulvio, for all your help with today's briefing. Make sure as well you guys register for the next webinar in 2 weeks on the 20th. I think it's in 2 weeks, and I'll send a reminder as well, but it's on pitching skills and presentation skills and all that, so it's going to be very useful. But yeah, thanks everyone, and enjoy your evening. I'll be sending this around tomorrow, but thank you very much for taking the time this evening. Alrighty, thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Good luck. Okay,
Bye.
thanks everybody. Bye-bye.